Childhood Traumas to Reclaiming My Power with the Nouris Nunu Gabriella. Childhood traumas have a way of following you around your whole life until you fully heal them, but they never fully go away. But when knowing about your triggers and what patterns they give you, you have a much better chance at leading a smoother life. If you've dealt with any type of childhood traumas, this episode is for you. Welcome aboard the podcast, A Woman's Spark with Shanik, a place to show women how powerful they are and remind them of the spark that they carry, the strength that gets us up every time, a place to feel seen and understood when we don't fully have what it takes to get back up on a hard day. This podcast is to help women heal and become the best version of themselves during the roller coaster of life. We're building a community of women that wants to help one another and inspire each other to become stronger and more united as we were born to be. Did you know that trauma in women, the key realities are a significant proportion of women experience trauma, whether emotional, physical, sexual, or relational, in their lifetime. Women are more likely than men to develop a long-term effect like anxiety, depression, or PTSD from those traumas. And the common source is either a relationship betrayal, emotional abuse, childhood conditioning, people-pleasing or over-responsibility, financial dependence or instability, chronic stress from caregiving roles. But today we're talking about childhood conditioning. There's a nuance. Many women don't fully identify their experiences as traumas. They call it stress, burnout, or just life. But what trauma really does, trauma is not what happened. It's how the nervous system adapted to those experiences. And when you're a child, you don't fully comprehend what you're going through. And then in later life, it translates into your various relationships that you're going to deal with. So the common patterns that you'll find are hyper awareness of others' needs, but disconnection from oneself, difficulty saying no by fear of rejection or conflict or abandonment, overfunctioning, doing everything for everyone else, holding everything onto their shoulders, tolerating misalignment in relationships or work. Well, it's often mistaken by being strong, being nice, being reliable, but it's often self-protection and not true power. So today we're speaking to Nunu Gabriella. She's a newly published author and very present in social media and a mother of two. When we come back, we're going to welcome Nunu. Welcome back to Women's Spark Podcast with Shanik. On the show today, we're going to welcome Nunu. She's here to tell her story, and it's not just about trauma. It's about awareness, boundaries, and reclaiming your power. She's had to confront the complicated reality of family and accepting that love doesn't always mean having access. She no longer lives to survive others. She lives intentionally, protecting her peace, raising her children differently, and breaking cycles that once defined her. She's here to bring an honest conversation, unfiltered perspective on trauma, survival, generational patterns, motherhood, and what it really looks like to rebuild yourself. Not perfectly, but truthfully. Please welcome our spark of the day, Nunu. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. I think I told my very close immediate group, I'm like, guys, guess what I'm doing?
You know what? We met at an event for poetry that we had to release and open our heart to our reality, and we connected so profoundly and so deeply that it's an honor to have you on the podcast today. So thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very, very much. Yeah,
So let
you're right about that poetry thing. It was really something special.
Absolutely. And so we're here to talk about, and the title is Childhood Trauma to Reclaiming My Power. So can you tell us your story, first of all, about childhood traumas and how you got to reclaim
I
your
could
power?
write a book. I could write a book. Well, let's say quick bio. I was born in the States. but I've been living in Canada since 1987. I am in allophone. I'm an anglophone Montrealer because I consider myself more Canadian than anything else. And I do speak French for anybody that's worried. I do. I do. I promise. I'm a full-blown Quebecer. Um, wow. Okay. So it's interesting because for years I didn't remember I had gone through the trauma. So my brain from the time I was about 10 to 15-year old completely blocked that anything had happened to me. And it's funny because growing up, you hear the story, oh, be careful of strangers. It's the stranger behind the bush. You gotta be careful. And it turns out that the people I needed to be careful from were actually blood relatives. So from the time I was about 3 years old, that I can remember up until I was about maybe 10, 11, when puberty was starting to hit, because by the time I was 12, I was completely developed. There were three different people in our family that were sexually abusing and molesting me for the span of almost 7 years. And for years, again, like I said, I didn't remember anything up until I was about 15 years old, and I was having some surgeries for my ear, and they were taking blood samples, a bunch of kind of testing. And I remember a nurse coming in and telling my mother, and the nurse wasn't being rude or crass or anything. She was being kind in her way. And she was like fussing over me. And she says, oh, well, this young lady's 15 years old. She should be going to a gynecologist now. We should be taking care of ourselves. And for some reason, that was the trigger to all of these past memories of everything that happened. And I remember that I didn't even tell my mom like this face to face. From the time I was a kid too, I've been writing since I was like 12 years old. I remember writing, and I've been reading even younger than that. My nose was always stuck in a book. And I wrote my mom a about 3 to 5 page letter telling her what had happened to me, who had did it, and I put it in her suitcase. She was on her way to El Salvador to go for the first time in over 30 years to go back home. And I slipped that letter in her suitcase without her knowing. I didn't know when she would open it, if she would open it. And as soon as she got there, she was unpacking and she found that letter. And the first thing after she read it, she called me and she just cried and cried. And I was very lucky. I consider myself very, very fortunate that she was one of the parents that believed me, because I have a lot of friends who have gone through the same thing, and their parents did not take them seriously or refused to believe them because they prefer the partner, etc. So I was very, very fortunate. And when my mom got back, she started everything for the proceedings for me to take them to court, and spent a good time trying to bring them to justice. It was difficult because the first judge we went to see said that my case was not believable. So he wasn't implying that I wasn't believable, but that the case simply had too many holes, too many issues. But then other people, apparently, other family members started coming forward saying that they too, at the hands of some of these people, had also suffered the same thing. And again, very fortunate. My mother fought for me. My lawyer fought for me. We went to court, and at the same time that I'm going to court for that, I'm also having surgeries for my ear. I'm in boarding school, missing tons of school because between the court proceedings and the ear surgery, and I look and I remember it felt more like an outer body experience. Like I was there in the court and I could watch myself. I don't know, I disassociated from the whole thing, this protecting myself as usual.
Mhm. You wrote to me a small bio, and it really struck with me, and it goes with what you're saying right now with what you went through. And I was born a very to very young parents and raised in a home shaped by violence, instability, and silence. It was extremely abusive, physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and I grew up witnessing him harm my mother while also becoming a target of that same violence. And you're talking about sexual abuse, you're talking about physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. First of all, I'm sorry you went through that. For In the introduction, I mentioned um, that we're shaped by how our traumas. They sometimes, as a young child, you don't know their traumas, and you go through those moments thinking it's normal. And when you grow up and you become an adult, or you become a teenager in your case, and you're having to go through all of those emotions again and having to relive those moments, um, like you said, you detached, right? It's that number one, you detached, but what followed the detachment? Because
Depression.
Mhm.
Depression followed, no, like you were saying there too, it wasn't just the sexual abuse. I remember watching my father beat up my mother and put a knife to her throat. I remember him sending me flying and then him getting mad because he thought that my mother told me this stuff. But it, for me, one of my greatest curses and also greatest blessings is the memory I have, because there's things I wish I could forget and wouldn't remember, but nobody had to tell me what I saw. I know what I saw. And one of my sisters asked, and I was completely honest with everything I saw. And my bio father thought that my mom was the one that was telling us and that she was the one turning us against him, but she didn't have to. I remember one incident in particular. We went out to eat Chinese food at the mall. I did not like Chinese food at the time. I thought it was so gross. I thought the texture was just, you
Gooey.
know, but now that I'm older, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, give it to me all day long. I love anything you put in front of me, I'll probably eat it. But he got mad that I didn't want to eat it. And he called me over pretending that he was going to help me put on my coat. And he actually extended his arm to punch me in the stomach. And I don't know how, but my reflexes kicked in and I jumped backwards. And all he managed to do was skim my belly. Because imagine a full grown man, and I must have been between 10 and 12, punching a child.
Yeah.
He could have hurt me.
You have all of those flashbacks. How does that translate when you reach the adult age now? And now being a
Um,
mother as well.
I wouldn't have reached it here without therapy. Because you're trying to reconciliate the fact that these are people who are supposed to love you and protect you, and instead of doing that, they're hurting you. So you emotionally want to be like, okay, but they're family, so I'm gonna forgive, I'm gonna forget, I'm gonna whatever, but it's always at the detriment of you. So I was depressed for many, many years. I was first diagnosed by secret, and I say secret because it was a secret when I was 15, 16. I was very lucky, like I said, throughout my life. I have had a lot of adults that have protected me and have been there for me to that. This social worker saw that I was obviously not okay. And I found out then that she was not obligated to tell my mom. She was not obligated to tell my dad, that I could seek the help. And I started seeking the help that I needed by reaching out, because grew up with a family very religious, and it was always, oh, pray about it, or we don't believe in mental health. That crazy stuff is
Mm.
not in our family. And I get it.
PTSD is only for veterans and people who come back from war, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true for childhood traumas. It's
it's And for girls, and I've been doing research because my second book touches on this, for girls, we're constantly on survival mode that we don't know how to pull back and how to relax. We don't realize that the anxiety we're feeling is our body telling us that the situation we are in is not good for us. It's not healthy for us. And I realized I needed help. I'm not saying that it worked overnight, because at 16, for the first time, I attempted to take my life.
Mm.
I drank a bunch of, well, actually, right before I turned 16, I drank a bunch of pills, and I had to be sent home from boarding school back home because I suffered a bit of a nervous breakdown. Like my mental health was completely, I was being bullied. I was being um treated horribly, what we now consider gaslighting and love bombing by both friends and family. And because
Relationships as well, probably,
yeah, because I wanted so much to be loved that I wanted to please everybody. And
to the detriment of your own health and your own
exactly.
boundaries.
So it took me many, many years of therapy. Thank God that Canada is very good when it comes to stuff like that, because I don't know how I would be able to afford it if I was living in the States or
I
anywhere else.
if I jump forward even further, because we're talking about 15, 16, we started about talked about adulthood. How did that have an effect on your important relationships? Maybe the person that you had your
I
children with.
sabotage, well, with my oldest. So I have 3 kids, two different dads, 3 kids. One I was married, one we were just together. And with my oldest's dad, I sabotage it. Like most relationships, I would sabotage because I couldn't believe that people would be good to me just for me being me. I always felt that I had to give more, whether it was sexually, whether it was money, whether it was taking care of them. I always felt that I was never enough because I felt that I had to run after love from my parents, not realizing that my mom had her own issues, her own traumas that she went through, and because of the generation that they're in, they weren't able to get the help that we today are able to get,
Absolutely.
and so forth. So, it was a roller coaster. It was a big, big roller coaster. The relationships, they were long, they lasted long. One was 4 years with my oldest son, with my ex-husband, 10 years about. Um and with him, our relationship was even longer than that because we started dating in our 20s. We broke up, but we never really let go of each other. I got together with my oldest's dad, then that we didn't work out. Again, I know the role I played, and a lot of it was sabotage because I didn't believe I deserved anything
Mhm.
good in my life. And so I
Yeah,
feel
go
the
ahead.
same way with my kids. Like, I feel that sometimes they're too good for me to have
Uh,
because I don't feel worthy or that I deserve this goodness in my
mhm.
life.
Let's start by saying that, you know what? First of all, I fully understand you because we connected on that basis when we met, and I'm sorry deeply, deeply. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm really sorry you went through that because it's not okay, and children should be taken care of, and it, we love our children, but when we do everything for them afterwards, it's like we don't deserve to have such a beautiful amount of love. But
Yeah.
then there's also that push and pull of, I wish I was treated that way too.
Yeah.
I wish I had that too.
Yeah. Do you do that? I'm trying to be the parent for my kids that I didn't have. And that whole thing, because I've been accused that I have favorites with my children, and I
Oh,
refuse. And I tell
yeah,
them, I go, "Why?" Because I love each of them differently, because I feel I love them according to their needs. I have a
absolutely,
kid who refuses to be touched, does not like hugging, does not like kissing. If you wanna hug or kiss, he's like, like barely touches you. And then I have another one that's extremely affectionate, and it's like, "Mom, hug time, hug time." And then a teenager that's like, "Don't even look at me, don't touch me, too cool for you."
Mom, get away. I
So
have the
it's 3 different human beings. I can't love
absolutely.
them the same. So it's not favorites, it's just I'm loving them also in a way that I wish I was loved.
Absolutely. And we can't love them the same
No.
because we give them what we find is fair in terms of time and energy, but we can't love them the same because they're not the same. Our children are different. They're two different parts. But I had a really important question is from what you lived when you were younger, um, the violence.
Mm.
When you're around other people who recreate a certain amount of violence, how does that interpret itself in the moment as an adult? And I'll give my share of the story after
Mhm.
you give me
So,
yours.
up until about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would still throw hands first. If I got really angry, I got to a point once that somebody came up to my face literally like this and said, "You're crazy." And I said, "Call me crazy one more time." And they got again right in front of my face, "Call me crazy." And I remember just throwing my head back and headbutting them. So I do. But again, to that, it was that I was pushed. So, one of my sisters always says, "Leave her alone. You're gonna get mad when she finally reacts." So the finally part. So I usually let it build up. I do. I react horribly because I finally been pushed, and then I get angrier at myself because I'm like, "I know better. Why did I allow this person? Why did I give this person that power to push me to this?" And then I realized that usually the people I give that power to are people that I really love.
Mm,
You know, my ex-husband, my sisters, my parents. It's usually the people you love the most that know how to push your buttons the best.
mhm,
And but again, one of my sisters always says, she goes, You're the one pushing her buttons. She told you to leave her alone. She's warned you." And I do, I warn people. It takes me long to get angry, but when I get angry, and it really too depends. If it comes to my mom, my sisters, and my kids, the chances that I get violent are pretty high.
mhm,
When it comes to you insulting me, which has happened my whole life, that I have guys who will come up to me and be like, "You're a fucking whore, you're a bitch." And
mm,
you know that the reason they do that is because they think they can manipulate you into doing exactly that, whoring out for them. And I've always been like, "Yeah, no, you know what? If I'm a whore, then you should feel bad because I don't want to have anything to do with you. And whores will go with everybody and anybody." And I've always responded that way with stupidity in general. But like when I've been in relationships, I'm never that quick with my tongue. I'll let people walk all over me,
absorb.
and then yeah, and I will become what they want me to become.
Mm.
But the anger is always like it's like the Hulk. It's
For me,
always
it's the flight. If there someone becomes violent or is attacking me, I don't know, I just can't. I kinda curl up in a ball.
that's only if it's like if my best friend, let's say, because he's a man and he's one of the very few people I feel safe with, that I can be whoever, I can lash out, and then he'll still be like, "Okay, you're being an ass, but I still love you," whatever. But if he's trying to get my attention because I'm acting foolish and he'll raise my voice because it's someone like him, I will retreat into myself. And again, good person that he is, patient that he is, he'll let me have my whatever, he'll give me my space, and then I'll, slowly realize too that sometimes in this case I was being dumb and I wasn't listening to any reasoning. But if it's again, it depends. If it's towards my children, I will come out like a lion. If it's towards me, I'll either retreat or depending what it is. It's
Mhm.
how my sarcasm, smart assness.
Speaking of Badass. I mean, with everything that you've mentioned, you're still managing to have 3 great kids, raising them, being powerful, writing. So how did you turn all this hardship into something positive?
Um, like I've mentioned earlier, writing has always been a part of my life. I've always been a bookworm. My mom would jokingly say that I was born with a notepad and a pen in one hand and with a book in the other hand. Um, I've always was better translating my thoughts and ideas when I would write them down. I gave up a lot of myself when I became a stay-at-home mom and a wife and all that. I stopped thinking about myself, stopped putting myself first, and I stopped writing. Um, mm, Lost a very, very big part of who I was. I was very social, very bubbly, but then throughout that marriage, the only time that would come out was when I was in public. I was very good at putting on that persona. And the first time I left, because I left twice, my husband, my ex husband, I just wanted to get over everything. I just wanted to continue with my life. But then I found out I was pregnant with baby number three. So I went back. And I remember thinking, I am never going to get out of this until my baby is 18 years old. I'm stuck in this life. We were living in Alberta. I was far from my family. All of my sisters were here in the East Coast, either in Quebec or in Ontario. My mother was here, and I just felt alone. I let myself go completely, from my creativity to myself, to my weight. I was actually weighing 225 pounds, eating everything and anything in sight because I wanted to hide myself. And then in 2020, in mid January 2020, right before pandemic strikes, he comes to me and he says, how long do you need to pack up the house and we're go back to Montreal? And that was like the first lifeline for me. And then coming back to Montreal, having my sisters around me, them seeing how I was not doing well, how tired I constantly was. The amount of weight I was carrying was extremely, extremely unhealthy. I look at pictures of myself then, I look at my pictures of myself now, I look at myself of pictures 20 years ago, and I'm like, how this happened, I don't know. I gave up on myself. And then coming back here, like I said, first my sisters and then my best friend slowly started pulling me back out. About 18 months ago, I made a deal with my best friend saying, you need to ask me every day until I stop, did you write today? And that was being held accountable like that for something that I can control, for something that was for me, pulled me out, started pulling me out. I started again therapy. I've been on and off of it through the pandemic and so forth. I've back on therapy again because I believe it works. It helps me, at least. It has helped me. And I don't stick to just regular therapy. I do also a lot of art therapy. So there's a few paintings in my house from my art therapy sessions that I have hung around. There's a small piece that I painted for my mother that I gave her about a year ago, which was also at so therapy in all its form shapes. And one day at a time, I have a tattoo on my arm to remind me that whether the good things or whether it's bad things, this too shall pass. So the good
Mm.
things pass, the bad things pass. I've surrounded myself finally with only the people, not yes people, because I don't like people who sugarcoat, but with people who truly love me and with people who truly want the best for me, with people who, if I'm acting dumb, will be like, hey, babe, Nunu. "Nuh-uh, you're overthinking this. This is not how we're doing it. You're going on a rabbit hole." Because sometimes, I send myself in my own rabbit holes, creating these scenarios. Perfect example with my oldest, when I was pregnant with him, I was already worried at 8 weeks pregnant that he was gonna be bullied.
Oh, wow. Okay. Rabbit
Eh
hole.
Yeah, rabbit hole. So, no, I'm like I said, I'm very blessed that throughout the years, despite all of the horrible things that I've gone through, I've been surrounded by some really great adults, and I've been taking that in and trying to model after some of those adults that were there for me when I needed someone the most.
Great examples. I mean, finding people around you, being well surrounded by them, writing, creating art, talking, venting. What else? Am I missing something?
Yeah,
So right now you have a book called A Very Stable Empire that, yay! Yes, that's the one. Oh, and we know this face.
yeah. I designed the cover for this too. I designed the cover for this, and, that's my pretty little face in the back.
For anyone who wants to follow Nunu, you can follow her on Instagram. It's her name is Nunu, NUNU underscore bits and bytes. So you'll be able to see a lot more about her book and what she does, her creativity, the poems, all the writing that she does. She puts
I
on there.
do.
So
Writing is
yeah,
liberating.
it's liberating. And so you've written that book. It's
I did.
published. Where can we
It's
find it?
published. You can find it on Amazon either by looking for the name A Very Stable Empire, A Divine Biography. It's a satirical piece, very, very satirical piece. You can also find it under my first and middle name, Nuris Gabriella, which is my author name as well. I thought I'd go with um, the option to give people what they want to call me. And it was released on March 8th of this year. And I'm feeling on cloud nine with it. Someone not long ago purchased it all the way in the Netherlands. So I'm feeling,
Wow.
yeah.
That's exciting. In the
I
Netherlands.
know.
And you're writing another book, right? I know
Yeah.
you can't
Okay.
say too
So
much, but
I am currently in
what
the
can you say?
editing. It's completely done. I'm just editing. I can tell you guys the title. It's titled Stop Complaining, Bitch. Alpha Boys
Yes.
and the Women Who Outgrow Them. And I actually I'll let you guys know this. I touch on the basis of what an actual alpha is in the animal kingdom and how we as humans have misconstrued its true meaning.
Mm.
And I'm also writing this because I'm a mom of boys. And there's so many stories out there where men are not holding themselves accountable for the hurt they inflict on women and children. And then how the judicial system just gives them a slap on the wrist and say, go on your merry little way. So I want to make sure that I send out men that when women see them coming, these women don't feel the necessity to cross the street and away because they're afraid of the men that I've sent out into the world. So I'm not a perfect parent. I have my own meltdowns too. This week I had maybe one big one and I had to go hide away from my kids. I'm like, you guys go play video games.
Mommy needs a timeout.
Mommy needs a timeout and I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go. And yeah, no, I want to be, I'm not just making a better world for my kids, but I'm trying to make my kids better for the world that I want them to have.
Yeah. Mm. Ending the cycle, as we mentioned in the very
But yes,
beginning.
ending the cycle.
Ending the cycle.
So,
Before we conclude the podcast, Nunu, I really would like you, for the listeners who are going through something similar, right? And I'm going to put a little portrait here, who have lived any kind of traumas, whether they know it or don't know it, have seen some patterns happening in their adult life. What would be What would you like to say to them? Is there light at the end of the tunnel, inside the
oh,
tunnel?
a hundred.
Where are you at? What do you wanna say to the listeners?
100%. I mean, I have good days and I have bad days. A few days ago, again, I was having a really horrible day at work, and a friend of mine posted something on Instagram. Hey guys, just checking in. What kind of a day are you having? Great day, good day, so so. I don't even want to talk about it. So instead of responding to those options, I sent her a message and I said, my day is going horribly, but I refuse for it to continue that way. So I'm choosing to have a better rest of the day. And it starts with that, I feel. You have to want to, the hardest part is admitting to yourself that you want and need the help.
Mm,
Because it's easy to recognize that you need the help, but that doesn't mean you want it.
mm,
And something I find so great about here in Quebec is that you can walk into any CLSC at any time and point and tell them that you're having a mental health problem, and someone will see you right away. And I know that most of the CLSCs are open between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And at any point in time at that time, you can walk in. And the hardest part literally is just saying, I want this, not only because I need it, but I want it. And once you recognize that, you decide what steps you want to take and what are steps. And if you feel you don't know which steps, someone is always help. Info Sante is amazing. I find that
yeah,
there's a lot of programs in Quebec that you can get help. Any hospital you go to, any ER you walk into, you tell them either if you're having thoughts where you want to hurt yourself, if you're having thoughts that you'd be okay if you don't wake up tomorrow, whatever it is. For all our faults and things in our Quebec health system, when it comes to mental health, I find that we're doing a pretty decent job. So you just have to want to go get it. It's not easy. It's not.
no, it's
And
not
I
easy.
know, I know it's not easy because I'll tell you this too. 3 different times I attempted suicide,
Mm,
3 different sides. And the third time, I not only slit my wrist, but I also it took I'm allergic to codeine. So I also took codeine. My heart stopped and I had the bruises when I woke up the following day of the electric shock to get me back, to get my heart back into a rhythm. And then I I saw the people that came to see me. I saw the tears on their faces because they were hurt that they almost lost me. And in that moment, all I could think was, even at this, I failed. And the reason why I'm saying that, and it's not the first time I've said this to people, the reason that I say that um, that's how I felt in that moment that I failed is because all I wanted was for the pain to go away. It wasn't that I wanted to die. It wasn't that I wanted to hurt people, but I just wanted the pain to stop. And all I saw was that I was continuing to cause pain and that I was continuing to inflict pain on everyone else. And um it's okay to feel that way. The thing is, if you know you're going to act on that, then there is someone in your life that you can reach out to and tell them. It may be the person you wouldn't even think the most remotely, but there is people in your life that want to help you, and they just don't know either how to reach out to you because all they see is that you're withdrawing and you put on that mask saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm okay. And I just, again, my kids, my oldest, he saved my life.
mm,
He made me want to live again. He gave me a reason to continue. And I went back to university and I've had the opportunity to travel and to live in different places. I've lived in Florida, I've lived in Alberta, I've lived in Ontario, but I always come back home to Montreal. And if it wasn't for my babies, I would not be here today. I would not be writing. I would not be blessed
mm.
with the peace that I find myself in today.
Thank you for those words. I mean, I teared up a little bit because what you said about um, it's not about hurting others or ending your life. It's about stopping the pain,
Mm.
and that there's always someone out there who will miss you and who will be sad that you're gone and that you matter to. Thank you for those words. This is the end for us. Thank you to all you beautiful souls out there, all the listeners. If you're going through a tough time and it just keeps looping back to all the pain that you've lived in your childhood or throughout your life, is it bullying? Is it psychological abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse? Is it neglect, abandonment, betrayal? Name it. Name it.
Been
You
there,
are
done
heard.
that.
Yeah, you are heard. You are valued. Someone out there, including us, Nunu and
Yes,
I, we love
yes.
you, we see you, and we understand you, and you're not alone. So, with that said, don't hesitate to go and get some help. Don't hesitate to call a helpline, a suicide line, to go see your local community hospital, clinic that can help you. Call a friend, call your uncle, call your aunt. Even if they're a bit further away, at least they're there to listen. Someone's there to listen, and no one wants to see you go. So, to all you beautiful souls out there, we love you. Thank you for sharing your inspiring journey, Nunu. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
This is it for us for today. Tune in every week on your favorite podcast platform. If you want to get involved with the Be Guided, Be Inspired community, or you want to share what kind of stories you've lived through, what kind of impact you've had on others, contact us, get in touch with us, and write us and we'll connect together at www.beguidedbeinspired.com. Keep sparkling, you beautiful women. See you next time. Bye.